think Sue is on.
Yeah, it's Melissa.
Okay, all right.
Good morning. I'd like to call to order the monthly board meeting of the Washington County Board of Supervisors for May 20th, 2022. And could I ask Supervisor O'Brien to do some prayer, please?
Good morning. As later today, we'll have proclamations about Emergency Medical Services Week and also Mental Health Month is May. We have both proclamations. I think it's a good idea to remember those who have served over the past 2 difficult years with COVID, and in the normal times, their jobs are demanding and as hard as possible, and especially in circumstances when they come to accidents and other things and other things. So I think we should be thankful and pray for their health, their well-being, and while keeping in mind that honor them for what they've done and bless them for what they do for us. Amen.
Thank you, Supervisor O'Brien. To raise for the pledge of the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In case of fire or emergency, the 3 exits in this room, there, and there. In case of an emergency, please proceed to the nearest door, to the nearest staircase. On the nearest staircase, and next to the building, clear the building as far as possible so emergency squads and rescue squads can do their job. Also, please silence your cell phones for this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. We'll do our roll call, please.
Mr. Hankey.
Here.
Mrs. Fedler. Here. Mr. Ferguson. Mr. Shaw.
Here.
Mr. Hall.
Here.
Mr. Fisher.
Here.
Mr. Hicks.
Here.
Mr. Nolan. Mr. O'Brien.
Here.
Mr. Half.
Here.
Mr. Campbell.
Here.
Mr. Skelly.
Here.
Mr. Hogan.
Here.
Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Mrs. Clary. Mr. Griffith. Mr. Rozell.
Here. Thank you, Deb. The condensed minutes from the April 15, 2022 meeting are accepted as mailed unless there are any additions or corrections. Does anyone have any additions or corrections? Seeing none, we'll move forward to communications.
For communications from Clinton and Essex counties, we are in receipt of their resolutions opposing the passing of Conservation Subdivision Design Bill S1145/A4074, and communication hoping the board will suspend the county tax on fuel prices for June through December as the state is adopted. That's all I have for communications.
Okay, thank you. COVID-19, Tim, are you available? Let's move on. Oh, there he is.
Morning, everybody. Just a quick update on the county's efforts regarding COVID-19 and the status in our communities. As of this morning, we are at 109 active cases, and that includes both PCR lab test reports to our public health folks through their doctor's offices, as well as home test reports to our own county portals. Our hospitalization numbers are at 21 as of this morning. Significant increase in our hospitalizations as of late, and our percent positivity in the last 7 days is at 11.2. We do have a new death report this week. It occurred earlier this week, the death of a 69-year-old nursing home resident who was vaccinated, had been ill recently, and been in the hospital. Just a couple of updates on vaccines. So vaccinations are still being done at the public health office on Wednesday by appointment. You can call and make an appointment at 746-2400. And testing is still being done, PCR tests, at the public health office Monday through Friday by appointment, by phone as well. The vaccinations are open to anyone eligible with the exception of the new 5 to 11 boosters that were just approved yesterday. We're still waiting for approval from Dr. Garrett to sign off, so public health should be moved. Any other eligible vaccinations can be done at public health. Just call, schedule the appointment. Obviously, your doctor's office and the pharmacies are still all open as well. Other than that, just letting everybody know, we still are in the high zone relative to the federal statistics, which does indicate you should wear a mask or you can wear a mask indoors in public settings, stay up to date with your vaccines, get tested if you have symptoms, and certainly if you're immunocompromised, make sure you take any additional measures you can to protect yourself. Other than that, thank you for taking care of the EMS proclamation for those folks this morning. Certainly know they've been a huge part of what we're able to do
Thank you. Any questions of Tim? Anyone? Seeing none, thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the committee reports, the audit report.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move the audit report.
Moved by Supervisor O'Brien. Do we have a second? Supervisor Campbell, Supervisor Rozelle. Is there any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried. The mortgage tax warrant. We have a motion on that, please. In front of the chair.
I'll move the mortgage tax warrant.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. Do we have a second? Supervisor Rozelle, Supervisor Wilson, Supervisor Fisher, Supervisor Fiedler, and Supervisor Henke. Is there any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Introduction of Local Law C of 2022, and Deb will read the title.
Introductory Local Law C of 2022, County of Washington, New York, introduced by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half-Hicks, Feather, Shelley, Hogan, Clary, Roselle, Wilson. A local law authorizing the use of video conferencing for committee meetings and meetings of the Washington County Board of Supervisors.
Thank you. And proclamations. We have two that you both received, everyone should have received a copy of. May 2022 is Mental Health Month, and May 15th through the 21st of 2022 is Emergency Medical Services Week. And we certainly want to thank all those people that work in those areas to help keep us healthy and safe. Supervisor's privilege of the floor. Does anyone have supervisor's privilege of the floor? I do for the town of Fort Anne. We have the past president for many years of Chapter 79 Vietnam Veterans of America, John Stavindelik from the town of Fort Anne, and his wife Grace. And John has a presentation that he would like to make to the county. If you'd come forward, please. And Bob, Sue's not available, so would you come up and receive it, please, as the vice chair of the county?
Before I present this, I'd like to give a little history on it. In 1998, my father was interned had already been interned in the Punch Bowl Cemetery in Oahu, Hawaii. Quite an impressive place. On one end, there's a 30-foot wall, and I forget, it's very big, and there's a whole mural of the Pacific Theater, all the battles, and which my father was a life of Marine participated in. And while I was there, I spent a lot of time roaming about the cemetery. And there's a pathway they call it the Punch Bowl because it's a big hollow. And I was exploring around. There's a path that goes up, and when you get up to the top, you view the ocean. And along the path, there's many stones with plaques on them. And it's honoring veterans groups, different Army units, Navy units, Marine units from the war. So when I got home, I came to present this idea to my chapter members that we put one down in the National Cemetery for the Adirondack 79 chapter of Vietnam Vets America. And it was dedicated on March 30th of 2009. And a couple of years later, I used the Mr. Loisel over here in Hudson Falls to take care of this. And it was a few years passed by, and he called me up one day and said, I have something for you. And it was a picture of the plaque with the stone we dedicated many years ago. And by that time, we had lost our chapter meeting place, so I held on to it. And it came to me recently that, I'm getting on in age, so I would like to see it out in the public before I go. So I spoke to Sam recently, and I'd like to present this to the county. And Sam said you'll display it out here in the county building. All gave some gave all. You might be familiar with Billy Ray Cyrus' song. We contacted Billy Ray Cyrus at that time for copyright purposes. He said, I'm honored that you folks thought of me and my song. Audit Chapter 79, Vietnam Vets America, 1959 to 1975, dedicated April 30th, 2009. As another point of interest, this county lost 18 young men in Vietnam. I have a list at home, and if I could present it to someone that would maybe make some nice typed up thing about it, I think it'd be a nice display with that.
Okay, absolutely, John, we can do that.
One of them was Dean Coleman, a good friend of mine.
Yeah, and 55 men are on the wall over in the Adirondack College. So considering 18 people from Washington County, that's a high percentage of the 55.
Thank you.
I'll get you that information.
Okay, very
I have
good.
a list at home with a little bio.
Okay. Yep, thank you, John.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, this was an important thing for Chapter 79 because for those of you that may not be aware, the Vietnam Veterans of America is different than most of the other veterans organizations. So the fact that they're chartered by Congress specifically says that they're a last man standing organization. So as the Vietnam veterans pass on, membership obviously decreases because there's less of them, and eventually we'll be to the point where as we are in local Chapter 79, we're looking at being to the point where membership is low enough and participation is low enough so that we need to take a look at closing the doors. And obviously there's a way you have to do that because you're not a for-profit corporation. You just can't say we're done and walk out the door. And this is one way of trying to keep the lineage of the Vietnam veteran and that war in people's minds is by being able to have access to some public spaces as we've done out here with other things along the historical things of the War in Our Nation's foundation and other things. And so it's time that we start getting some of our artifacts and some of the history of our organization out there so it can be remembered as history in the past. So thank you for that time. Was there anybody else had any supervisor privilege of the floor? Okay. And again, thank you, John. And now we'll move to the introduction of resolutions. Need a motion to set aside the rules of resolutions number. There's none of those, but the clerk will read the resolves, only starting with resolution number 133.
Resolution number 133 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Hicks, Hogan, Clary, Roselle, Wilson, Griffith, title amend budget for purchase of patrol vehicles for stop DWI enforcement. Resolved that mini bid number 10026 is hereby awarded to Falls Dodge Inc., doing business as Joe Sakonis Chrysler Complex for the amount so stated, and be it further resolved that the county treasurer is hereby authorized to make the following budget amendment. General fund, increase appropriation, interfund transfer to carpool, $43,726, increase appropriated fund balance, DWI reserve, $43,726. Carpool fund, increase appropriation, equipment vehicles, $43,726, increase revenue, interfund transfer from the general fund, $43,726. Resolution number 134 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Hicks, Hogan, Clary, Roselle, Wilson, Griffith, titled to amend interfund loan to capital project number 123, microwave equipment and upgrades. Resolved, the county treasurer is hereby authorized to increase the interfund loan from the general fund to $1.5 million to ensure sufficient operating cash until the expenditures can be claimed and repaid by state aid. Resolution number 135 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Hicks, Hogan, Clary, Roselle, Wilson, Griffith, title amend tourism budget for postage. Resolved that the county treasurer is hereby authorized to make the following budget amendment. Increase appropriation postage tourism, $700. Decrease appropriation contingency, $700. Resolution number 136 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Hicks, Hogan, Clary, Roselle, Wilson, Griffith, title amend capital project number 125, capital improvement plan for LEC roof replacement. Resolved, the county treasurer is hereby authorized to amend the budget as follows. Capital project number 125, increase appropriation LEC roof replacement $2 million, increase revenue interfund revenue $2 million, general fund, increase the appropriation, interfund transfers to capital projects $2 million, and increase appropriated fund balance $2 million. Resolution number 137 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Hicks, Hogan, Clary, Roselle, Wilson, Griffith, title amend County Road Machinery Fund for increased fuel costs. Resolved that the county treasurer is hereby authorized to amend the budget as follows. County road machinery, increased appropriation, auto fuel, $500,000, diesel fuel, $500,000. Increased revenue, interfund revenue, $1 million. General fund, increased appropriation, interfund transfers to road machinery, $1 million, and increased appropriated fund balance, $1 million.
Thank you. And we'll move on to resolution number 117.
Resolution number 117 by Supervisors Clary, Campbell, Fedler, Skelly, First, and Wilson, titled to make appointments to the Washington County Youth Advisory Board.
Do we have resolution
117.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. Do we have seconds? Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Fisher, Supervisor O'Brien, Supervisor Wilson. And I'm looking to see here on Zoom if I missed anyone. I don't believe we did. Pardon? Paul, where's he at? Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. Sorry, Paul. I got you now. I thought there was an owl hanging from a tree there. I was, I apologize. Is there any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 118 by Supervisors Clary, Campbell, Fedler, Skelly, Ferguson, Wilson, titled to make appointments, reappointments to the Workforce Development Board.
Moving resolution 118.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. Seconds, please. Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Henke, Supervisor O'Brien, Supervisor Wilson, Supervisor Ferguson. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signal saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 119 by Supervisors Hicks, Skelly, Campbell, O'Brien, Fedler, Clary, Wilson, title amend staffing pattern, DPW.
Mr. Chairman, moving resolution 119.
Moved by Supervisor Hicks. Seconds, please. Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor O'Brien, Supervisor Skelly, Supervisor Campbell, Supervisor Wilson, Supervisor Ferguson. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signal saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 120 by Supervisors Hicks, Skelly, Campbell, O'Brien, Fedler, Clary, Wilson, title amend staffing pattern, District Attorney.
Mr. Chairman, moving resolution 120.
Moved by Supervisor Hicks. Do we have seconds? Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor O'Brien, Supervisor Campbell, Supervisor Wilson, Supervisor Ferguson. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 121 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Hicks, Fedler, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Roselle, Wilson, title amend budget Youth Bureau for Rural Communities of Practice Phase 3 grant.
Moving resolution 121.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. We have seconds, please. Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Fisher, Supervisor Wilson, Supervisor Roselle, and Supervisor Ferguson. Is there any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 122 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Hicks, Fedler, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Roselle, Wilson, title amend Office for the Aging budget to purchase a utility vehicle for the nutrition program.
Moving resolution 122.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. Do we have seconds? Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Fisher, Supervisor O'Brien, Supervisor Wilson, Supervisor Roselle, and Supervisor Ferguson. Is there any discussion? Yes, sir, Dana.
Sorry, I have a question about this.
Sure.
Recently, we authorized that we would auction off older cars that had very little mileage on them. And it kind of gives the impression that maybe our cars are not being used as a multi-purpose vehicle. And I also heard that in Health and Human Services, a lot of the vehicles are program cars. The car will have in the trunk material for the program, like maybe, for example, this one, nutrition stuff. And so the car sits until it's needed for that program, and then they use it. I would like to see our cars have multi-purpose, where the material doesn't live in the car is only used when you want to use it for that program. Is this a true thing that's happening, which is why we have a lot of vehicles with very low mileage that end up rusting out, they're not being used because they're just program cars?
Yeah.
There's certain departments where that is an issue, and we do have to work with that, but like with Meals on Wheels, they get used every day, so they don't sit. And they go for meals, so that's a whole different, and this specific one, this isn't an issue. but there is departments we're gonna have to look at the whole thing. But that's why you have fleet vehicles and you have carpool vehicles. The carpool vehicles are all multi-use vehicles, but the fleet vehicles is because the actions of what they do, they need cars at specific times, they need to be available, somebody can't have taken what they need. So it's not completely broke, but there's some things that should be tweaked, yes.
Supervisor Hicks?
To follow up what Dan is saying, are some of the program cars perhaps, because when the funding comes through, it's very specific, and they can only be used for those things? So they may only get used 6,000 miles a year, and you can't use them for other, staff things, because the funding came from a source that only allows certain things. And then when we get funding for a new car 10 years later, there's only 40,000 miles on it. That would make sense, but do they have restrictions to say you can only use it for certain things?
I think
we fund it that way?
I think once in a while there is, but
Not by and large.
No, I don't think by and large. But it's a good point. So we have to be cognizant of when we decide to do things.
Is there any other further discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 123 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Stedler, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, title amend 2022 budget for Adult Protective Services Grant.
Moving resolution 123.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. Second, Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Wilson, Supervisor Rozell, Supervisor Ferguson. Is there any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 124 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Stedler, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, title amend 2022 budget for a Home Energy Assistance Program administrative allocation.
Moving resolution 124.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. Seconds, please. Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Wilson, Supervisor Rozell. Is there any discussion? Dan, Supervisor Shaw.
Yeah, it says this is an additional $368,000. What's the total budget for heat for the year? Does anyone know that off the top of their head?
No, and this is admin, which very seldom do they get a grant like this to come to this is on the admin side, this isn't even on the, on the actual fuel line or energy line, whatever you call it. But, yeah, so this is out of the ordinary due to COVID.
So is this money not to be spent for fuel, it's just administration of dispersing the fuel?
It's for the administration of the office, for anything they possibly do, touch, make happen, whatever, and it will go throughout the whole facility.
Buildings, desks, chairs.
So there's no fuel, this is not going to buy any fuel, okay. Thank you.
Paul, did I miss you as a second? Yes, he's shaking his head, yes, Deb, from a second, I appreciate that. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 125 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Stedler, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, title amend 2022 budget for foster care and child care.
Moving resolution number 125.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. Seconds, please. Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Wilson, Supervisor Rozell. Is there any discussion?
You got Paul again.
Paul is a second also, yes. Sorry, Paul. No discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 126 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Stedler, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, title amend 2022 Sewer District number 2 budget for engineering planning grant.
Moving resolution number 126.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. Do we have seconds? Start with Supervisor Ferguson this time. Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Fisher, Supervisor Wilson. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 127 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Stedler, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, title authorized interfund loan from the general fund to capital project number 114, Sewer District number 2, long-term control plan.
Moving resolution number 127.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. We have seconds. Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Fisher, Supervisor Wilson, Supervisor Rozell, Supervisor Ferguson. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 128 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Stedler, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, title amend 2022 budget probation for fingerprinting.
Moving resolution number 128.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. Seconds, please. Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Ferguson, Supervisor Wilson. Is there any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 129 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Stedler, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, title amend county road fund budget for consolidated highway improvement program rollover funds.
Moving resolution number 129.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. Seconds. Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Skelly, Supervisor Wilson, Supervisor Rozell, Supervisor Ferguson. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 130 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Stedler, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, title to set time and place for a public hearing on introductory local law C of 2022.
Moving resolution number 130.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell, seconded by Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor O'Brien, Supervisor Wilson, Supervisor Ferguson. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 131 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Stedler, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, title supplemental mortgage tax disbursement.
Moving resolution 131.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell, seconds by Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Wilson, Supervisor Rozell, and Supervisor Ferguson. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 132 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Hicks, Stedler, Skelly, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, title ratify agreement between Washington County and Correction Officers Association for years 2022 through 2024.
Mr. Chairman, moving resolution number 132.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. Seconds, please. Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Ferguson. Is there any discussion? Now we will go to a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Henke.
Yes.
Mrs. Stedler. Yes. Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
Mr. Hall.
Yes.
Mr. Fisher.
Yes.
Mr. Hicks.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Mr. Half.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Skelly.
Yes.
Mr. Hogan.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Rozell.
Yes.
Resolution is adopted, 3,802 yes, 888 absent.
And can I have a comment after the fact?
Sure.
I noticed something. Town of Hartford supplemental is $600.92. That exact same number is repeated 4 times on this, whereas no other number is repeated, like Hartford, Hebron, Jackson, Putnam. Very odd that that exact same number is repeated 4 times. Is there an explanation for that? Was it a simple formula that's very, very simple?
That's the number submitted by the county clerk.
But isn't it odd that there's 4 that's the exact same dollar amount, $600.92? Because if you look at the main warrant with the large dollar amount, none of these are the same. Mathematically weird.
Yeah, I think we'll have to get an answer for you in a day and get back to you. I don't see Steph's not here, I don't believe so.
Because I think the additional amount would be kind of maybe, would make sense with the original warrant. You know, Hartford's $23,601. But you look at Hebron, $21,000, Jackson, $19,000, Putnam, $17,000, but our addition is all the same additional amount. So I think that's weird.
The funnier part is Whitehall, which is higher than Putnam, did much money. So, yes,
Well,
earlier.
The 692 are the towns, they don't have villages. Don't compare Whitehall.
Okay,
that calculation compared to,
because the village gets a portion of it, so maybe that's why they don't match up too, some of them. Maybe they add up to the $692.
Well, Easton doesn't have a village, but they're not $600.
no, they have, Easton, Greenwich is in Easton. Village of Greenwich in the town of Easton.
No.
A portion of it.
Portion of it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, but it just seems weird that that same number is repeated many times.
Dana, we can get you a more specific answer to that.
County
Okay.
clerk, yeah.
The county clerk will, then we'll get back to you.
Fuzzy math, but.
Right, well, it could be Argyle or Hartford math, I don't know what it is.
Common core.
Yeah, 48 math, yeah, exactly.
Okay,
So we have to vote on that or no?
So the town of Whitehall and the village of Whitehall do add up to $692.
do they?
Yeah, I'm gonna play that number at the lottery.
That's the real question for the question, huh, Dana?
Play five, and they have to think.
Yes, Dana.
Mr. Chairman, I see the list of mortgage tax warrant, but I don't see a resolution authorizing the payment.
We don't. That's, you sign the warrant, and we approve the report, and the treasurer will get that, copies of that information and pay those amounts out.
Thanks for clarification.
Everyone but Hampton for asking the question.
Resolution number 133 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Hicks, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, Griffith, title amend budget for purchase of patrol vehicles for stop DWI enforcement.
Moving resolution 133.
133, moved by Supervisor Campbell. Second, please, Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Wilson, and Supervisor Ferguson. Is there any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 134 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Hicks, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, Griffith, title to amend the interfund loan to capital project number 123, microwave equipment and upgrades.
Moving resolution number 134.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. Do we have seconds? Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Wilson, and Supervisor Ferguson. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 135 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Hicks, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, Griffith, amend tourism budget for postage.
Moving resolution 135.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. Do we have seconds? Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Wilson, Supervisor Rozell, and Supervisor Ferguson. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 136 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Hicks, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, Griffith, title amend capital project number 125, capital improvement plan for LEC roof replacement.
Moving resolution 136.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell, seconded by Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor O'Brien, Supervisor Wilson, Supervisor Rozell, and Supervisor Ferguson. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 137 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Hicks, Hogan, Clary, Rozell, Wilson, Griffith, title amend county road machinery fund for increased fuel costs.
Moving resolution number 137.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. We have seconds. Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor O'Brien, Supervisor Wilson, Supervisor Rozell, and Supervisor Ferguson. Is there any discussion? Supervisor Hack.
Why are we doing this now? I know it's probably gonna be coming, but it's only May. And my second question is, the budget impact statement says that we're gonna take leftover money from the 2021 fiscal year, utilizing 2021 fiscal year surplus monies from the general fund. But which specific?
It's actual fund balance.
Just regular fund balance?
Yeah.
It's not coming from DPW, going to DPW?
Right, because DPW won't have it.
Okay, also, isn't diesel fuel a lot more expensive than auto fuel? Do we expend more money for diesel
What
than
it
gasoline?
is, all our fuel is bought through, that fund, through highway, and then carpool reimburses for all the cars that aren't in highway. So, it's a conglomerate of everything.
But there's two different budget lines.
Yes, but because one buys the gas, one buys the diesel, but the carpool pays revenue in to buy the gas. But because that would be so convoluted to go back and change every department in that short order, we have to look at the whole thing on how to get the money from each department there. We just move the money so they can buy the fuel at highway.
So, but just to keep it simple, you put 500,000 for gasoline, 500,000.
Well, we actually speculated the numbers times the first 2 months. The only problem with that is the first 2 months of the year were cheap, and compared to now. And we don't know if they're going back down or if it's gonna go up higher. So whether this gets us to October or gets us to December, I have no idea. It just needs a lot more analysis, and as we go along, this is to make sure we can buy fuel as we need it throughout the season.
Okay. Once general fund gives money to the DPW fund, it can never come back to general.
That's an account. Now, here we can.
Here we can. Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, and that takes care of our resolutions. And now we're on to Supervisors Comments. Supervisor Comments. Supervisor Hanky.
A couple of things. One I missed as we were going along, point out number, resolution 128 is a unfunded state mandate for $2,400. I'm sorry I missed that. Resolution 125, I'm very glad to do that. Get some money into foster care. We're basically fixing something we broke a few years ago. And it's about time we were back in the business and doing it right instead of trying to farm it out to people that weren't doing it right. Next, I'd like to welcome Dan Shaw back. Good to see you. We've been worried about you.
Thank you.
Glad to have you sitting up and taking nourishment. And finally, when I came in this morning, this car pulled up and stopped, and this guy jumped out and had a letter in his hand, wanting to know where the court building was and how he could get into it, and he was afraid he was going to be late and everything. And the best I got of his name was Lou. He was from Guatemala, and he's becoming a naturalized citizen this morning. So I showed him where to go and shook his hand, then he wanted to hug me and cry. He was just as happy as could be. I was just so delighted to have that going on, seeing that process working. So, and congratulations to Lou, whoever you are, in Guatemala.
Thank you, Bob. Any other supervisor comments? Yes, sir.
Town of Hartford's having our Memorial Day parade on Memorial Day, which is Monday. Very nice parade. We have lots of fire engines that come to the parade. And this year, once again, we'll have our Congresswoman, Elise Stefanik, there, our Senator Van Steck, our Assemblywoman Carrie Warner, and possibly our future Assemblyman, Matt Simpson, because we're changing Assembly districts. So I invite everybody to come. It starts at 6 p.m. on Memorial Day, Monday. Very enjoyable parade. Please come.
Thank you. I have a couple announcements here, too. The Washington County Historical Preservation Committee reached out to me yesterday and asked me if I would let all the supervisors know that on May 26th at 6:30 p.m. at the Fort Edward Canal Street Marketplace, they're going to be giving out 4 different awards for the Washington County Historical Preservation Awards. One is from the town of Salem. The Salem Revolution Cemetery will receive one. Sandy Hills Arts Center will receive one. Cambridge Footbridge will receive one. And the Fort Edward Canal Street Marketplace will be receiving one. And I believe that Laura Oswald is going to report out again on those as a reminder on the May 24th Ag and Planning Committee meeting. And I was asked to pass that information on, so if any supervisors are interested in representing their town or any are interested in attending, you have the information to do that with. Also, I'd like to announce the sponsor of the County Graduation Awards 2022. Each year, the chairs of the Warren and Washington County Community College Committees select a candidate to be honored by each county at the graduation ceremony. And from Washington County, the one that was selected was Olivia Gomes, who's a Whitehall resident, John?
I guess so,
Yes. Yep. And she was unable to make it today because of another commitment. She may show up next month, but obviously graduation will be over by then. but I was asked by Sue Clary if we would notify the other board members of that selection today. And does anyone else have any supervisors' comments? Anything that they want to bring up? And Dan, welcome back, as Bob said. It's good to see you sitting in that chair. Hopefully we didn't do anything that excited you too much today. We tried to keep that down to a minimum, so.
Maybe we control that.
No. All right. If there's nothing else to come before us, everyone, have a great and safe Memorial Day. Think of your loved ones, think of those people who made the sacrifice. Take some time to honor them in your time and on your Memorial Day, and thank you. We're adjourned.